Welcome to another very special interview Wednesday. I am, of course, the officiant Kent, and joining me today is Victor Vences. We are here following PB ENT 3 in Ocala, Florida, and this promotion, this man, is taking this area absolutely by storm. The last 3 shows, you've headlined against GabeZilla, and we've had upwards of 100, 120 people in the audience. And it's been one hell of a journey for you. But let's go back to the very beginning of the journey when you first discovered wrestling. When was it?
I first discovered wrestling probably in around 97, 98 from what I can remember. So around 4 years old. I was told I watched WWF and stuff like that when I was 2, 3.
But that's when you can first remember was around.
Yeah, first remember is 97, 98 WCW. And the cruiserweights specifically, those guys. I just remember seeing them first, like all the time, and you know their matches were only 10, 8 minutes, sometimes maybe 12 if they're lucky, but they were great matches. But who got me really hooked on wrestling was Goldberg.
And you wrestle a very Goldberg-like style. I mean, you use a lot of power and a lot of impact and a lot of technical work. So was it Goldberg that really spoke to you? Was that kind of who you started modeling yourself after, or who you kind of were most inspired by?
I would say Goldberg probably inspired me to love wrestling. Because when you're a kid, you know, characters are over. You can say whatever you want, how great you're a worker you are, whatever. But characters are over, and that seems to be something I kind of struggle with myself, and I'm trying to improve on. But so Goldberg is what got me into wrestling, and made me love it, and. But then as I got older, what made me into wrestling, the technical part, the suplexing, all that stuff is, you know, the Eddie Guerreros, the Benoits, you know, who doesn't love those guys, you know? So it's mainly those guys. And
was there a particular match or moment that made you say, okay, this is something I actually want to pursue? This is something I want to do with my life and actually learn how to do and excel at?
There was 2 scenarios. The WrestleMania 20 triple threat match. That was like, man, as a 7, 8-year-old kid, I was like, man, I really want to do that someday. But then when you're a kid, you know, who doesn't want to do this when you're watching it and you love it? But I stopped watching wrestling probably in around 2010, 2011. So I was about 10th, 11th grade. I was playing football, and then I came back to it in 2013, which happened to be Daniel Bryan's run.
Yep.
And that was like, man, like this dude, he's technically great. He got his character over, and he's undersized. Not saying like I'm undersized too, I'm short, but he really got over just off of hard work and the crowd just getting behind him. And I was like, man, you don't have to be 6'5", 300 pounds, jacked to the gills. You can just literally work and just get your character over, and you'll be over.
Well, and that was a guy who had been on the indies for so long, had perfected what he did so long, and it baffled people that he hadn't been noticed. It baffled people that he hadn't been really signed, even though he would say he's been signed like 4 different times.
Right.
He hadn't actually made it. So for that to come, it was a journey that all of his real fans had been on for so long, and to see him actually reach the mountaintop was such a huge moment. So you decide, okay, I want to get into wrestling. What next? How did you pursue training? How did you, where did you train, and what was that training experience like?
So I was probably about 19, 20 years old. I was living with my brother at the time, paying cheap rent, living here in Ocala, actually. And I was like, man, is there a wrestling school around here somewhere? How do you do it? So I searched it. Top 10 wrestling schools. Dory Funk Jr. was on there. Dory Funk Jr.'s school was also here in Ocala. So
very convenient.
I actually left Ocala, went back to my hometown for personal issues, and I was like, I still want to do wrestling. So I drove all the way back to Ocala. I met with them. They told me a price, shocked me, and I said, we'll get back to you another time. So from that moment on, I learned the price and everything and learned what it took to get in there. I didn't think about any other wrestling schools. I didn't know about independent wrestling. Even though I knew about Daniel Bryan, I didn't know about independent wrestling.
It surprises me how many people who are in the business were like, I had never heard of independent wrestling until I actually went to start training. And I think that's so interesting, but also very telling as to how much of a blanket WWE kind of throws over wrestling, or WCW, or any of those companies, how they say like basically we're it, when truthfully there's hundreds of independent wrestling companies all over the place. So anyway, please continue.
Yeah, so I didn't know anything about that stuff. So I was just working to get into Dory Funk Jr. school. You know, he trained all these Hall of Famers, and he worked for WWE. He's NWA champion 4 years in a row, all this stuff. So I get a job in Gainesville, Florida. I moved to Gainesville, no money when I moved there. My parents helped me out, but then I just start working a lot, training, and then I get the money up. And I get the money, pay, and I start. It was very intimidating at first because I did play football. I did do like ladder drills and athletic stuff. But Dory's school is more of technique, more of repetition, more of getting it down perfect. And so instead of cardio and drills and stuff like that. So forward rolls were intimidating to me. I didn't know what they were. Flip bumps were scary. Everything was scary at first.
Well, it's very different than the, amateur wrestling aspect or anything like that. Like there's a lot more high impact, high risk type style incorporated in professional wrestling that you wouldn't find on, your amateur wrestling area.
Yeah, and it took me, my second day training, it probably took me maybe 45 minutes to learn a headlock takeover. It took me a long time to learn a headlock takeover. I just could not figure it out. And
well, one of the other interesting things in wrestling and in training, especially from my perspective, was you were basically going against all of your natural instincts. Like your body is like, don't fall.
Right.
Don't stop yourself from falling any way possible, which in truth can end up you getting hurt. So you have to learn to pretty much like deny and ignore all of those instincts in order to really perfect the art of professional wrestling.
And that was the mindset I had. It was tuck your chin, hopefully you don't die, kind of thing. And that's the way I thought in the beginning. It worked. I'm all about repetitions, learn, and I want to keep learning. So
you and GabeZilla actually trained alongside one another under Dory Funk. What was that experience like? What do you remember about meeting Gabe and kind of the process since then?
The truth is, we didn't train together. He actually left 2 months before I got there.
Oh, okay.
I heard about him. I saw his videos on YouTube there, and I was like, man, this dude's big. He may go to WWE one day, kind of thing. And I got there, and there's no GabeZilla. There's like no one there that I saw in these videos besides a couple guys. And so I wanted to train with a guy, but he wasn't there. And I heard stories about him from some of the dudes, how good he was, how talented he was, how fast he was for his size. And then I trained there for about a year and a half. And probably like we did shows every Thursday for just like local crowd. And Gabe was there. Gabe came. And I thought I was this hot stuff, talented guy, working this other guy who was also, I thought was talented. We get to the back after the match. He's like, yeah, it was all right. You got to throw your stuff in, man. And I'm like, okay. So then from that point on, I've just tried to focus on throwing my stuff in and making stuff look as real as possible, but also like firm and protecting the other guy.
Yeah.
So.
What do you remember about your first match? Who was your opponent? What was the whole experience like? What were your feelings going into the match, following the match? A lot of people I talked to said they absolutely hated their first match. The only exception being Kiko Harris. But if you watch that interview, you'll understand why he didn't hate it. But what was it like for you? Was it nervous? Were you nervous? Like, talk about it.
Well, I'll give both matches. The first one in training school, like in front of the crowd, the small crowd they bring in, paid crowd, was a triple threat match with Axe Clover, of the Clover Clan, and Christopher Ryan, who's here at PB ENT. It was a triple threat. It was the first time Axe ever did a moonsault, and I took it. I was very nervous. I was wearing gym shorts and a T-shirt and elbow pads and knee pads, thinking I was some hot, cool wrestler, and it was bad. It was very bad. But I did a universal leapfrog hip toss thing and dropped down leapfrog hip toss, and I thought I was cool after that, but it was terrible. But my actual first match on the Indies was at ACW. I can't remember if you reffed it or not, but
You may have, yeah.
It was against Deion James and Sam C.
Yes, I did ref that match.
I was in a tag match. I was very nervous. I didn't know what to think. I didn't have like professional gear, just like a regular singlet. And
how did that feel? I mean, you'd gone from kind of the comfort of working in front of a crowd you knew in an environment you knew. I think that, for me especially, was one of the most terrifying experiences, was going outside of what I had been, effectively grown up in, through school and my school's promotion. What was it like actually journeying, to another promotion where you probably knew very few people and like really had to
It was like starting over. It was just like I've already been like told no by people. Like I did when I was at Dory School, I did the Ring of Honor dojo tryout thing. I thought it was a tryout for their dojo, but it was a tryout to be on their roster. I went in there with my basic singlet, got told how garbage I was, terrible at promo, but I got told by Christopher Daniels that I can bump good, and I'm really smooth. And other than that good stuff, I got told I was very bad. And there's all these. I'm going into my first indie match thinking, I still don't look professional. I hope I can work at least. So I go in there. I meet Sam. Dion shows up 5 minutes before the show, and we actually had a decent match. It was fun. It was a tag team wasn't what I was really wanting to do, but my old tag partner, Andre Faust, he got me there. I wouldn't have went there without him. Shout out to him because he was always texting me, bugging me, let's go, there's ACW. And I was like, all right, man, whatever. I think I want to quit wrestling, though.
Well, and I actually really enjoyed your guys' work, and I was excited to see that you kind of persisted. Even after Andre had kind of stopped coming out, you were still making an effort. What helped help you get through those kind of low moments? You know, those moments where you're like, I kind of want to quit wrestling. What was it that made you decide, no, I'm going to stick with this. I want to push further.
Well, like after that first match with Dion and Sam, I was like, man, I did good. I did pretty good. Like, I can do this. So we just kept coming. And even when we would have bad matches, in my opinion, I just kept pushing, man. Like this business is really hard, and I'm not even at the mid-tier top level.
Yeah.
And so I haven't even got to the most difficult stuff yet, and it's super hard. And to get past that, I just got to keep telling myself I can do it. You know, I wouldn't have these great matches with GabeZilla all the time. You know, we wrestle each other all over. Alabama.
Well, you guys know each other so well.
Yeah,
I mean, it helps.
Yeah,
you guys, in the old territory days, you could sell guys, but you could also sell matches.
Mm-hmm.
You could say, like, you know, these two guys know each other so well, they're going to put on a 5-star classic wherever they go. Now, of course, this was the era before internet where you wouldn't realize they were doing the same match in every single territory. But that mindset, I think, still exists, whereas, like, even if you have a lot of footage out there of the two of you working together, promoters can see that and say, I want to book that match, not just either of those guys, but that match.
And also, to be honest, like, wrestling Gabe all the time, we have great matches, but it can also be like, man, and I'll have a great match with Gabe, and I'll go somewhere else and have an okay match with somebody else. Like, man, like, is it just like, am I not that good? And
it can be a hit to the confidence, for sure. Like, is this guy carrying me, or am I actually talented at this?
Are all my great highlights just with Gabe, or can I get other good ones? So after my first few matches with Gabe, I just said, you know what, screw it. Like, I'm going to work with other guys like I work with Gabe. I'm going to, you know, keep throwing my stuff in. I'm going to do my suplexes. I'm going to do this stuff. And hopefully they oblige and we can get some business done. 'Cause I'm down to do whatever, as long as it makes sense.
And how has that mindset helped? Like, do you feel like it's making waves for you? Like, I'm just going to be me. I'm not going to try to, like, tailor myself as much to who I'm facing. I'm just going to bring what I bring best.
Absolutely. It's helped a lot. I mean, I've gotten opportunities at other places. I've gotten compliments from other people. I've had, you know, people put me over on social media a few times, and it's very uplifting, but I just want to keep pushing. You know, that's not all I want.
Now let's talk about PB ENT Wrestling. You went from, you know, making the rounds, making the circuit, to being the poster child, literally, of an organization. What was that process like, and how did you feel about it? Did you feel like, did it encourage you? Did it inspire you? Like, do you feel a lot of pressure from it? What was it like?
At first, I mean, the owner of PB ENT knows that at first I wasn't taking him too serious, because he saw me and GabeZilla and Golden Boy in a triple threat match, and he saw how great me and GabeZilla wrestled each other. So he approached us probably like 8 months before the first show and gave us a plan, and I was like, oh, I've heard this before with other guys, I've seen it, hopefully I'm behind you if it works. And he just kept pushing. He kept pushing and giving us opportunities and motivating us. And I just said, you know what, I'm all in. Let's do this. And he made me one of the poster boys.
Literally.
In front of a magazine.
And you've main evented every single show so far. And that's also got to be very encouraging. And, like, boosting you up? Does it boost up that kind of confidence and esteem in you that, hey, this guy really has faith in me to lead this organization?
Absolutely. I mean, it makes you want more, you know, and I see how great it is here, how great the production is, how great the crowds are, everything. I just want to take it everywhere. You know, if it's wrestling GabeZilla everywhere, I'll wrestle GabeZilla everywhere. If it's Victor Vences main event everywhere, I want Victor Vences main event everywhere. I want to be the poster child of every promotion I can be.
That's the right mindset to have. Now, I want to ask you the 2 questions I ask in every single interview, though I think I might have missed them on Kiko's. But number 1, if you had to give advice to somebody who wanted to get into wrestling or was even slightly interested in wrestling, what would you tell them?
Number 1, I would say just do it. Because as cliche as that sounds, I wasn't going to do it. When I got my money saved up, because I got it relatively quick, and I wasn't going to do it, but my best friend died at the age of 22, and I was like, life's too short. You have to do this. I have to do this. This money's going to be here when I'm dead. It's going to be wasted. So I did it, and it's paid off so far. But as far as serious advice, take your work serious, whether it's your character and your wrestling. Take it all serious, because as much comedy or goofy stuff that's going around this business, it's all great for the business. It is, but take it serious at the same time, because if you don't, they won't.
Yeah.
And just get your work down, man. Like, get in the gym and train. You know, no matter where you're at on the card, train, because you still want to. You know, I may get heat for this, but you want to kind of look the part too. You want to look like you can go in the street, no one's going to push you down.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So, I mean, I'm not Mr. Olympia whatsoever at all, but you still want to train and be in shape when you get in that ring so you can have a good 10 to 15-minute match when your opportunity's set.
Second question. If you could change anything in the wrestling business, what would it be? It could be, you know, the training process. It could be the crowds. It could be backstage. It could be in the ring. Anything. What would you change in wrestling?
I mean, this is wrestling and everything. Playing favorites, you know, there's a lot. I noticed that from the get-go when I got on the indies there's favorites, man. So you have to just outwork those favorites, and you got to keep training. You got to keep going. But that's just with life in general. You know, there's going to be favorites. You just have to overcome that. But as far as that, it goes back to the first question. I just wish people would take it more serious. I'm not an 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s guy. If you don't take it serious, I'm going to shoot on you kind of thing. But just, you know, fans still want to be fans. Interact with the fans. Don't be on social media with your shoot page or your work page cracking jokes with other guys. You're not going to see me on Victor Vences cracking jokes with Lacey. It's not going to happen. So you're
trying to almost bring kayfabe back into a non-kayfabe world.
It's dead. It's pretty much dead, but I would like it not to be as dead. You know.
Fair enough.
That's what I would change. You know,
so you would say, change the favorites, the idea of favorites, and kind of bring kayfabe back.
Pretty much.
Try.
Now, if you're on your shoot profile messing around, whatever, that's fine.
Right, because we're still people at the end of the day, and we're going to do what we do.
The fans know, you know, if they don't know, then it's weird. But, yeah, just kayfabe pretty much, you know.
Well, now I want to give you the opportunity to promote anything you want to promote. It could be a promotion. It could be your social media. Maybe not any specific shows because it may take a couple weeks for this to come out, but what would you like to put out to the people to check out?
Number 1 is obviously Turnbuckle Trash Talk. You know, these guys are doing great things. Whether it's you, Isaiah's, whoever, they're doing amazing things here. So if you get an opportunity to work with either gentleman, do it. PB ENT Wrestling, obviously, great crowds, great performances. It's just a fun experience here, man. It's different than a lot of places, and then that's pretty much it.
Where can people find you?
Victor Vences on Facebook. You can find me there. On social media, it's VictorV_62. And that's it. I don't have a Twitter.
You don't have Instagram, Twitter?
Instagram is VictorV_62.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Victor, thank you so much for joining me. It's really, really great what these guys are doing over at PB ENT. You got to come by a show and check it out. And you got to keep an eye on this guy because it may have been a slow start for him, but he has picked up steam, and he is a runaway locomotive. Anyway, we will see you guys next week with another Interview Wednesday.